All right, enough of that crap. Oh man, I was trying to adjust the YouTube settings, but kept screwing up the music on my end. I don't know what it did on that. So it'll be interesting on the replay if I ever watch it. I hate my own replays, so there's that. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, we're running late today. I almost didn't go live. I texted Shannon and told her that she should fill in the spot, but she did not respond. So here I am. And it'll be a short one. There's a lot of things I know kind of going on, I guess, personally. So we're dealing with that. But I figured I'd do my duty, and do some live streaming. My numbers are pretty good, so I figured I'd keep this momentum up. And I enjoy being here almost every morning for you. I might have to go back to my Monday, Wednesday, Friday thing, but it just depends on how many people. Well, it just depends on how many people take off for the holidays. Right now, I've got at least one. That will lost another one completely. So it's getting tough out here. It really is. But you know what? It's doable. It's manageable. We can do this. We can do it. So, good morning. I hope everyone is well. I am. I had breakfast this morning, which is rare, and so I'm feeling pretty froggy. So, anyways, we got our coffee with my narcissistic mug engaged, and we'll do some shout outs. We'll do some weather, and the weather's the big topic today because the rates are the rates, right? The low boards are the low boards. I mean, don't get me wrong, we'll go over that too, but there's a big, huge mess that's going to affect a big portion of you. There's a big mess that's happening right now. So, anyways, let's do some shout outs and I'll bring up the screen here. Wheelburn Express, calling me a yo-yo. He's first one in here. Good morning, sir. DL Mallory, what's up? Hope all is well in your venture. Don Shonger, what's up? Max Force, good morning. Desert Okie Pam, good morning. My name is Nobody. That's similar to Nothing Witty's name. Good morning. Donald almost gave up on me. Well, I almost gave up on myself, but we're keeping right along, right? The right way to truck, good morning. Pigtail, good morning. Too cold in Amarillo, says Old School, New School. Usually windy too. Stuart the hobby trucker, there you go. That's what I do too. If even that, right? Greg Zimmer, good morning. You need to pay attention to this live feed there, sir. Top of the morning, Steve. Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. Wilbur, I loved the live feed last night. Thanks for having me. I missed it because I was at my youngest concert, like orchestra concert. So I was out jamming. So I missed it too. It probably went late. By that time I was over it. I was in bed. So Donnie Luke with both feet. What's up? Let's see. Big Rig CEO. Yeah, bitches. You want to come in? Are you still ill disposed? Very steady, and it's nice running south. Well, here let's present, as StreamYard calls it, the screen, and let's take a look at that. SST, what's up? Sic Semper Tyrannus. I can't say that very fast very often, so I just call you SST for short, but that works. Every now and then, though, I got to give you the proper shout out. See if I can zoom this in. All right, so if you're up here, you're screwed. If you're up here, you're going to be screwed. That's the gist of it. If you're out here, you're always screwed because that's the West Coast. And then over here, you've got a lot of tornado action going on. So let's take a look at that. That's the urgent stuff. Yeah, you got tornado warnings coming across Louisiana, Mississippi. They've been lighting up all all morning. Well, since last night. Do you guys see there's a lot of tornado footage from Dallas Fort Worth area? Quite a bit. Grapevine got hit pretty good. All right, so let's take a look at this area. All right, you're looking at an ice event that's going to occur. Let's see if I can. Right through here. And then this is, I believe, a winter storm. What's the dark purple or dark blue? Avalanche warning. That's not right. And if you're colorblind, you're screwed, right? I'm not colorblind, but yeah, it's under a winter storm watch, but that will switch over. And then the purple is winter weather advisory. So you got a weather. So this is going to turn into something, and they're calling for major ice where you see the dark purple. So just keep that in mind. And you know how fun West Virginia mountains are, especially during an ice storm. It's grand. It's grand. So not really, but that's kind of what you're dealing with here. So and then of course you got all your normal stuff up here, but they're calling for 6 to 12 to 24 inches of snow, and then this is just a major ice event. This is just going to make things sloppy, I think. And then of course things are already sloppy down here. So if you're in this area, just be on the eye out in the sky for the tornado stuff. So let's zoom this out here. So anyways, that's what's going on. That is what's going on. So be aware. Be weather aware. Big Rig says sure. Alrighty. Let me send you a link. Here, I'll just put the link out here. Screw it. As you can see, I'm kind of in a plum mood. I say as I laugh crazily. Shout outs. Jeff, you know what? I know, your last live feeder talk about how people are annoyed if you do shout outs. You know what? Screw the haters, dude. Do the shout outs. People want to hear their names. And that's a Dale Carnegie thing. They want to hear their names. That's why, they like if you're 100 years old, you want that one weather dude telling your name up on national TV. People love that, right? People love that. And I can't remember the guy's name. It escapes me. But that was what he was known for. I believe he's might have passed away or whatever. And I will say the name, Big Rig CEO. What is up? Nothing.
I will say this. If you're delivering to Performance Food Group, Springfield, Missouri, and you go to the door and you got to push, and then they got the little camera, and then she buzzes it, and you open the door. You go inside. And then you're standing there and you're checking in, and somebody else comes to the door. You're going to be tempted to be courteous and just reach over and open the door for them. Don't do that.
Did you get yelled at?
Dude, I was like, are you serious right now? Like, I almost laughed. I was like, what the hell with you? The hell with your freight? You don't get to just talk to me that way because I opened a door. You could say, sir, in the future, would you please not do that? This lady kept going on and on and on about the security concerns. And then I was like, if you're that worried about getting murdered at your job, perhaps I don't need to be on your premises because I don't want to get murdered because people are here to murder you.
Oh, man. The last time I was there, well, no, it was the second to last time I was there. I did not bring my vest in with me, my safety vest. And
well, they didn't even ask me to put on a vest.
Well, they did like a couple of years ago. They did. A couple of years ago, if you walked in without a vest, they'd be like, you need to go back before I check you in. Oh. So
they're not nice here.
Now,
There's two of them now because they bought Reinhardt, and the other
they did.
people super nice. You don't have to even buzz in. You just open the door. Like, they're not worried about getting murdered over there at all. Here, dude, this lady, I mean, she was like in fear. Like, Booba Ega's about to walk through this damn door or something. John Wick, start killing everybody. I don't know.
Oh, that's funny.
Anyway, that's my morning, and I'm going home.
Nice.
Yeah. They told me your appointment's at 9 a.m. We'll give you a call. What are you going to do?
Are you in a door or the
Nope.
staged area?
Go over there and park, and we'll call you, and then charge you $300 to unload 400 cases.
The dog lit up just for some reason, even though my camera did not, so I don't know what's going on.
Probably the murderer for performance is over there outside.
He's targeting truck drivers,
dude,
and receiving managers.
Everybody gets so upset because I pushed a door.
Yeah, it's not like it's Fort Knox.
I apologize, like, ma'am, I'm sorry. I didn't realize, it was going to upset you so bad. I'm not upset. Yes, you are. Yeah, interesting morning.
It's funny. We sit there and say we all need to be professional when we go in these customers, and you're presenting. But remember that, and you remember this. Remember that gal that worked at the counter or the receiving office at Rick and Bankheiser in Mechanicsburg. Remember that one? Remember that chick?
I got into it with her so bad one day. Her and her yard jockey. So, we did all those dropping hooks there, and they had our trailers parked way off to the side. So I dropped and I went over to hook an empty trailer, and here come the yard guy. And he parked in front of my truck real quick, and he's like, "Hey, you can't take that trailer." And I was like, "Why not?" Well, yeah, because we're going to need it. We're going to use it. And I was like, well, this is a drop and hook, so I've got to hook an empty trailer. Well, you can't take the trailer. And I said, okay, well, I guess let's just go inside and talk about it, because they're telling me I've got to take a trailer. It says Transland on the trailer. It says Transland on the truck. It don't say Rickett Benkaiser nowhere. And I've got a load. I got to go get it. Well, I'll meet you at the office. And that dude tore off towards the office, and I just put it in gear and pulled out and put it on the street where he couldn't block me in anymore. Mm-hmm. And then walked inside to say, hey, I'm taking this trailer. And those people read me the riot act. How dare I hook to a trailer? How dare I pull it off their parking lot? And I just looked at her like, are you crazy? It doesn't say Rickett nothing on this trailer. It says Transland. It's their property. They're telling me to take it. And I'm not arguing with you people anymore. That yard dog was so mad that I did that, because he had me blocked in. I couldn't leave.
Yeah, you had to kind of sneak out of there. Nowadays they got a gate. They got a gate and a whole guard shack and everything else.
I wouldn't know. I haven't been there in years. I don't go there. I don't generally go to Pennsylvania as a rule. The fuel's too high. The tolls are ridiculous. And you don't get good fuel mileage with heavy loads going in. And I make so much more money just running in the Midwest that why bother going to Pennsylvania?
Right. Now, I think I did I don't know if it was Landstar or Schneider. I want to say it was Schneider that I headed in there one time, and they had a whole gate and the whole 9 yards and everything. So,
I noticed that if you go back and you look at all the videos that you've done, especially ones where you're talking about the spot market and showing the spot market map, that it consistently stays green in the same area year round.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you go through all the thumbnails and see the same thing, right?
I I hope that nobody who watches your channel catches on to that and just starts running that area and making, because then it'll bring the rates down there, start being yellow in the middle.
I've never seen it yellow in the middle. And the minute that it does, we're all in trouble, all of us.
Yeah. The money ball is always the money ball. It never fails. Never. It's always green. There's always good paying freight over there. Just saying. For everybody's, worried about their rates. I'm not.
Well, I mean, look, I've been through this before, and it's
Not
just
like this, Steve. Oh no, you haven't. It's never been this bad. Oh my God, have you ever seen it? Oh my. Oh.
You've brought my mood up. Congratulations, my good friend.
Good. I tend to do that when we talk.
You do. You recognize when I'm kind of being pissy, and you're like, I need to cheer Steve up. So they call me and tell me some silly story, and
I tell you some sort of really messed up, dirty joke.
Really messed up.
Really messed up. Oh, that's fun.
All right, let's do. CDN sent me an email, and we're gonna look at some info. Jeff texted me like, "Hey, check out CDN." Let me finish some shout outs here. Dennis, Wheelburner says we cuddle in bunches. Okay, let's see. Jerome, good morning. Snorelord, what did I miss? Absolutely nothing. Cool trucking. Hey Steve, just paid $3.50 a gallon in Wells, Nevada at the Petro. Nice. Have your fuel discounts been pretty good there?
Me,
James?
yes. I just was doing a payroll for my other driver this morning too. He paid $3.24 a gallon somewhere. I'd have to pull it up, and I'm not going to do that. But yeah, I mean, the discounts have been really, really good, especially like at Speedway and at TA Petro. We've been getting some really, really, really good discounts. I get a 20-cent discount at all the Loves also on my XPO card. And Loves actually called me the other day, and they were like, "Hey, we wanted to call and offer you the opportunity to get on our fuel card program, and we can get you a 14-cent discount." And I was like, "Right, but I get 20 now." And he's like, "Well, for like the first 60 days, we'll give you an extra 10 cents. You'll get 24 cents." I was like, "Yeah, but I get 20 now." And I don't fuel at you because I get a way bigger discount when I fuel anywhere but you. They're like, "Oh, it's an emergency." Yeah.
Hey, I've been known to throw 60 gallons at a pilot every now and then, but that's my mistake. That's my planning. Or I'm in an area where you can't help but help it. But
Sure, but no, yeah, look, fuel's coming down. The rates are steady the same for me in the reefer world, right? That's just reefer. Now, I don't know about van. I'm about to find out because I'm about to do dry van starting the first of the year. I'm not worried about it though, because I'll run in the green.
you're never worried.
No.
What? Every now and then you'll call me like, "I'm selling this truck. I hate everything."
I'll sell it right now for $120,000. You can have a truck and a trailer with a warranty. 120 grand. I'm out. I quit. I'll even throw in my MC number and another driver that's got a truck that runs, and you'll make good money. But not because I'm upset about the rates or because I'm struggling or any other reason. It's just because I'm fundamentally lazy, and that would pay off most of my debt. I could just roll out of this thing and be done. I'll go drive Uber and go fishing.
You'll go back to Transland and argue with that.
There is no scenario will I ever go back to Transland.
Jeff
Dude,
says, huh? Go ahead.
I will never say it so you hear me. Ever be a company driver again.
Okay.
Never.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Never say never. Never.
Never. Jeff says that's a sign of slow load unload times and not driver friendly environment. Maybe if they were efficient, they wouldn't need bulletproof glass, etc.
Right.
Man, it was just $4.50 for me the other day to unload 30 pallets. Yeah, we're on the wrong side of the. That's what you need to do, James. Sell the truck and trailer, become a lumber service.
Oh, right. Go work hard for a living. No thanks.
Six SST, they do have self checkout at shippers and receivers. It's Niagara Water and Chet Pallets. They have a whole thing. You get on this iPad, you do your thing, and you're out of there.
There's several places that I've gone now where you just you pull up and they have a QR thing. You scan it. You type in all your information. You throw your bills in the back in. They unload you when you get a green light. You pull forward. Your bills are signed and in the back, and you're gone. You never even go inside. You never talk to anybody.
Don says, stop telling everybody our meat and potatoes. I crush Ohio Valley right now. I'm in Texas looking for day work, waiting to be the 16th to pick up a monster to PA.
Good
Carl,
luck, Mark.
Late to class. There's no class today, man. I'm just so. Yeah, I think the echoes come from James's deal. Turn down your thing a little bit, James.
I ain't turning down anything. It's probably because my reefer's running.
No, there's an echo there.
What? How do you turn stuff down?
I don't know. You should do your volume knob on your phone.
Okay.
Test.
All right.
Check 1, 2.
Figure out how to do this. Hang on.
Stuart likes your business plan.
Is that better?
Yeah.
No echo.
A little bit, but not as bad. All right, let's all right, so let's put this on the screen here. Shannon, you did not take up the slack, so I'm here live. It's your fault. All right. All right. There's a market update.
According to who?
Let's see. Where's the rate data from? CDM, what's the rate data from? A lot of this is from Freight Waves. Yeah, Freight Waves and DAT. That's a DAT market map. This is just something he sends me and Jeff every week on Tuesday. Yeah. Outbound tender reject, which measures relative capacity in the market, decreased to 3.95%. The van outbound is down to 3.63%. Flatbed outbound tender reject dipped slightly to 19.89%. This means that almost 1 in 5 flatbed offers are rejected by carriers at the contract rate. Reefer outbound tender reject index dropped to 5.35.
Which is normal.
Yeah.
Right? That's what it runs at those rates normally. Right? We're in a completely normal market right now. It don't seem like it because everybody's still all scatterbrained from the $5 and $6 van freight. But the reality is the tender rejection rates are typically around 5 to 7%.
All right.
So that's a good thing. We're just in a normal market.
Let's see, on market data on a year over year basis, the outbound tender volume index is down 27.28%, meaning there's less freight than be moved. The Federal Reserve is all but guaranteed to announce today, that it will again raise interest rates. The Fed bumped up rates by 0.75 of a percentage point in the past 4 meetings, in an effort to calm inflation. Orders for new Class 8 trucks fell for a second consecutive month. Yeah, because they're expensive. A signal that reflects the current uncertainty around the health of the trucking industry as well as the broader economy. The Producer Price Index, which measures prices paid for goods and services by businesses before they reach consumers, rose 7.4% in November compared to a year earlier, indicating inflation is still very prevalent upstream in the supply chain. Peak demand season is pretty much over for 22. So,
But
volumes.
again, to me, that depends on what you're hauling.
Well,
Right?
here's
So
the important
for
thing.
reefer, this is our busy season. It's just starting. Most people don't realize that when you're in refrigerated, this is your busy season because in addition to all the other food that you move and produce is still moving. It's just not moving out of California. It's moving out of Mexico and coming in. And so you still have a very solid produce market, but also refrigerated takes on a ton of freeze protect freight right now. And so this is our busy season. Yep.
All right. So, but anyways, this is a graph that kind of shows the roller coaster of the spot market. This is
how far. I can't see that. So how far back does that go?
Let me zoom in here.
Is that like this year versus last year?
All right. The green line is 2022. Red line is it's hard because I've got this zoomed in because it's an image, so it's all blurred. Man, this live feed is just a bunch of crap. Let's see.
Glad it's not my live
feed. Right. The white line is us right now. Green line is 21. Oh, the red line is 22. So I'm not sure what the white line is. This is sonar. So let's go back here. The takeaway here is that freight volumes are decreasing from previous highs. So there's that. That's
right.
The pattern.
But again, that was also the highest it's ever been, like ever and forever, ever. So it's supposed to come down.
I know. I'm not saying it's not normal. Okay. I know. I know this. Okay.
Are you being argumentative with me?
Yeah.
That's 2 people in a row today. Listen here, bitch. No, I'm just pointing that out because I know a lot of people that watch your videos might think that, oh no, this is a bad thing. But what I'm saying to you is this is a completely natural thing. And I'm really saying it so that they hear it, that everything is really good right now. It's kind of steady. It's kind of been steady. It's kind of getting back into that normal trend versus that crazy trend that we were in, if that makes sense.
Well, that's that. If you look at this graph, there's nothing normal about that other than the up and down. This is normal. This whole line. I mean, each line. Okay, so the red line was last year. See how it just went up and up and up, right?
Right. Last
that
year,
was
right
the
after
year.
the COVID nonsense, right? So,
but the green line is what's normal. So that's the thing. And what I point out to people is the roller coaster. It looks like an EKG for somebody.
Right, but look at those months. There's typically something going on, like there's a holiday or something that causes that drop.
Right. And
what I want to see is what did that chart look like 5 years ago? and 10 years ago. See what I'm saying? You know what I mean? In other words, if they continue to compare everything to the way it was last year when it was the most insane, out of control market in trucking history, it's always going to look bad. It's always going to look like it's coming down, and that's why I'm like, I don't really care what their charts say anymore, because trucking isn't going away and freight isn't going away.
No, I understand that.
Yeah.
I've said over and over that these charts aren't a Bible to me, but it's interesting that we have all this data, and so when you take a look at a chart like that, that tells me that things are going to get tough. That's the thing, and you're about ready to enter the van world come January, and I'm thinking that first quarter is going to be extremely tight and extremely tough unless you got some brokers or relationships in your pocket.
I don't think it'll be tough at all. I don't think it'll be any tougher than a normal January, February, March, which for van has always been typically for the last 75 years a very slow period. The first quarter is always been slow for van freight, and I've kind of figured that into my calculations. I still think that everyone will, regardless of how of the annual trend of it slowing down, I think that everybody will should be doing over 2+ per mile on average. Are you going to get 2+ per mile on every single load you do? Absolutely not. But on average, when you average it all out for the week, I think that everybody will be doing 2+. And if you can't run your business on 2+, well, God bless you. You're on your way out. And that's okay. It's not for everyone to be able to stay in the game if they didn't prepare themselves to be in the game at the lowest points, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, look, I agree with you, but I think the rates are. They're already. I was talking to a reefer guy yesterday. They were trying to push loads for 90 cents a mile out of Georgia, coming back to the Midwest.
Sure,
Reefer
but what did you
loads
get to
for
go
90
into
cents.
Georgia? So, in other words, if you got $4 to go into Georgia, 90 cents a mile is. And I had this conversation with my driver just yesterday. So we took a load down to Florida, and the load down there paid $5,200. And it was over $4 a mile, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the load coming that I got, the first load I got him coming out paid $1.64. And he's like, $1.64, man, that's a tough pill to swallow. And I'm like, dude, you just got paid over $4 to go in there. When you put them together, oh, hi, Ann.
She can't hear you. Headphones.
Right.
James says hi.
Hi, James.
Anyway, so when you put them together, though, I mean, your average is fine. And I think that that'll be the same with van. And I think that, again, maybe I'm just lucky. I don't know, but I don't think I'll have any trouble averaging over $2 a mile in the toughest part, which is the first quarter of 23 in the van world.
Let's look at Gary's comment. And Jeff's sending me graphs with no explanation, so I have no idea what you're sending me, Jeff. You could easily join this live feed if you wanted to. The freight itself is not truly changed. The issue is the desperate drivers who do not know their numbers bidding themselves out of business. That's what it is.
Sure.
And how, everybody's like, you made the comment earlier that, well, you need to stop showing people to go to the green states because if everybody does that, the rates will drop. Well, I also say know your numbers, and no one does that either. So I'm not worried about my little tiny YouTube channel affecting the freight market and rates.
Right.
I had another friend get on to me about that. It's like, quit telling people go to the Midwest. And when you see load volumes of 600 loads within a 100-mile radius and you still can't get a good rate, that's because people are. I mean, you go to JB Hunt's app, there are people literally bidding at $1.60 a mile in out of good areas, and you can't compete with that if you're wanting $2 a mile.
The beautiful part is I can compete with that. I can run for $1.60 and still be profitable.
Yeah, but you do your numbers. See, that's the thing.
Sure.
So
Sure. I don't think I'll have to run for $1.60. Will I run a load for $1.60 once in a while? Yes. But again, when I average it all together, I think I'll be probably above 2.25 in van.
all right, so wheel burner, and I'll get to you, Stuart. Everybody's so busy getting worried about the money that they're making per mile in the moment, and forget about running their long game, which is running on the average. And that's something that I've preached, and to no avail. People don't care, And look, it's hard, especially like with us. We pay after every load, so of course, a lot of drivers are focused on the load, and so it's the long game, and that's the beauty of those charts is it shows the long game. It shows what the trends were. It shows what you're dealing with, and and so when you go back to this chart here,
And
let me
did
put
that
this on the
report
screen.
that he sent you give the national van average? Just
Yes,
what did it say?
I think it did. Hold on, I'd have to look at the email. So this chart shows me that during these months, I can't zoom in now because my thing's screwed up. This is when you need to, plan your maintenance on your truck, plan your vacation time at home, and because there should be a little bit of capacity changes, because people are going home for the holidays. I witnessed that at Landstar. So Stuart, what say you?
No, I mean, look, obviously this trucking industry is a game of averages. I mean, that's 101 trucking. Okay, that's not even up for debate. You're gonna go get good lanes going into somewhere, and you're gonna have to eat crow coming out. That's just trucking 101. But as far as the big picture, this freight market is going down, and it's going down really quickly. I mean, I don't care what anyone says, because if you just look at what the stock market is doing, and that's
Going
a key.
down compared to what?
Just in history, just look in history, how quickly it's dropping and how far it's coming down, and the rate it's coming down. Let me ask you this: why are these big Fortune 500 companies laying people off quicker than ever? Because what they're trying to do is a wage, right? A labor cost is a quick way to take money off their bottom line. So they're trying to make their stock price look good, okay, in anticipation for this economy going really, really bad. That's what they're doing to anticipate to save their stock price, because these Fortune 500 companies, they have to answer to their shareholders. And so when you see big companies doing stuff like that, that's a big key sign that they're going to feel the pinch as well. So if they're going to feel the pinch, that, as they say, shit rolls downhill, we'll feel the pinch as well, and it'll be big.
All right, Sage, I know you got something to say. Go for it.
Hey, quick question. So basically, I'm in the middle of snow outside here. So people are basically saying don't show people to go to the Midwest when there's legitimately information for $35 a month that basically says that to everybody that has a DAT board or 123 board or truck stop board.
I do get criticized for showing where the good areas are.
Yeah, I'm going to do every.
Like it's a secret.
Eric, you there? Eric.
It makes you wonder generally, right? With all of, if there's one thing that all of the platforms agree on, right? When you talk about load boards, freight waves, all of these platforms, they all agree that the Midwest is the place to be. So for anyone that says that would be bad, or it would even question it, what are you doing? I mean, we can't all these software systems can't point to that particular region of the country be wrong. You know, I mean, that's crazy that people would even try and argue that point, right? In my eyes.
Yeah, I mean, I think the point the Sage was making is that everybody has access to this information, even
Sure.
for free. Even for free. I mean, you can go to Dat Trendlines right now on their website without a subscription and see that information.
Yeah.
But that's to the DAT board. I can go to 123. You can go to 123 for free, and look at it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, your signal sucks, Sage. What's up?
Oh, anyways, I'm gonna do a short every single day telling drivers to run the Midwest.
Nobody listens to you, anyways.
Exactly. Thank God. Also, the quick thing too is with January, some of the numbers and data we're getting back is some of the stuff from China, 40% down in regards to container volumes. So container volumes are definitely lower this year than any other year. So that's a good sign in regards to van, in regards to how much freight you're going to have in January and February. And now January is normally decent because they're restocking shelves. February sucks because they're done restocking shelves. But this year, I don't see a lot of restocking of shelves. So it's probably going to be definitely a slower January, February, March than normal. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say I'm thinking probably a decent driver that kind of knows their stuff. Probably a buck, maybe 75, 85 area average for the month. But I'd like, if you guys run your numbers, let me know. We can let us know how far off people are. But that's usually the volumes you're kind of basing it on. And then after that, you're hoping for tax season and people get their money back and spring to open up and people to come back out.
Yeah, and as James is pointing out, that's normal. So what I'm going to look for, because I run a dispatch service, so I have to be on top of this stuff. What I'm going to look for is during February, I'm going to start looking for the spring stuff that's seasonal and it can't just store it in a warehouse.
Right.
And the stuff that you see in the garden centers, you can't store, hundreds of tons of mulch inside a warehouse.
Mm-hmm.
Bricks, pet food. I'm going to be looking for all the stuff that you see in the lawn and garden. I'm going to look for equipment. If I'm flatbed, I'm going to be looking for equipment because corporate farms have to change their equipment regardless if they need it or not. You have a lot of back orders still on a lot of equipment that are still being fulfilled. I've made a lot of money because of that fact. If I'm refrigerated, that's the new strategy that I got to learn because I'm dispatching 2 reefer trucks now. So it's but I'll take the same concepts and do the same thing.
This is going to be the absolute January is going to be the absolute best time to get into trucking.
Okay. Explain.
Because if you get in, first of all, equipment has come down substantially, used equipment, so you can get some good deals to come in to the market, right? And then also, if you can come into a market when it's down at its lowest point of the year and you can succeed when it comes back up, because there's no if, it's when. It always comes back up. When it comes back up, you're going to be in a really good position. All these people that are going out of business right now are the ones that got in when the market was like out of control at its highest in history. And now that it's come back down to normal, they're freaking out. They don't know what to do because to them, this isn't normal. But to the people that have been doing this for more than, 5 minutes, this is absolutely normal. This, 5% rejection rates are normal.
Right.
The rejection rates are good, but I would debate, is it the best time to come in? And I'm going to say no, not right, because I've got my eye on trucks. And a lot of the trucks which have come down in price are stuff which have got 600,000-700,000 miles on. But then you add in the Fed keeps jacking up the interest rate, and that's another thing that we got to keep an eye on, because Sage just said, everyone gets their tax returns back. If the Fed goes into next year and they still increase keep increasing the interest rate, how much is that going to affect, what these manufacturers are doing? There's a lot of moving parts that we got to look at here.
Interest rates are still low.
Oh, okay, compared to the 80s, but if you go back over the last 15 years, they're not low.
Nah, they're right around where they were 15 years ago.
What are we at now? 7%?
7. You can get a mortgage for 7. So it's maybe a point higher than it was 15 years ago, which was 6. And they're going to keep raising it until they stifle the inflation. That's a fact. But that's, again, everything still has to move, and it moves on trucks. And again, if you can get in January, February, and March, and you can get in cheap enough to where you can manage it with those $1.75, $1.80 rates that Sage is predicting. When it comes back to $2.50 to $3 a mile for van, you're going to be very, very successful. I'm not saying it's a good time to, it'd be a good time to, think that you're going to get in and grow this massive company, because that's probably not going to happen. But if you're like an owner operator or inspired to be an owner operator, to me, you want to get in when it's at its lowest.
Yeah, and 180 is a doable number. That's when I came in and bought my first truck in 15. I remember 185. I mean, anything over $2 a mile, I was yelling and telling everyone. I was like, hey, look, I managed to get $2 a mile out of this area, and I was loving life, and that was back in 15, and I survived. I managed to grow out of that. I think a lot of it though comes back to mindset, though, right? When you're accustomed to certain things and you run your business accustomed to them things as well, and it gets ripped out from underneath you, that's what I was
saying about all the people that are struggling and failing right now got in because they got in a market that was paying $5 and $6 a mile, and their costs were all based off that.
Yep.
And so now they're hurting for certain, and you know what? That's okay. They'll go out of business, and somebody will get a good deal on a truck and a trailer and come in when it's more reasonably cost.
Yeah.
Right. $1.80, $2, $2.25 to move a load is a decent rate. $5 a mile is not a decent rate. That's just stupid. And so that's why I say, no, look, if you're thinking about moving into the spot market, to me, the best time to do it, just like the stock market, you want to buy low, and so it's the best time to get in. We're back down to the normal. We're about to hit the van slow season, which is going to depress rates a little bit further. And again, if you're able to get in and manage it and not be hugely profitable, but profitable enough to stay in business when it rebounds, which may take another 2 years, heck, I don't know, you'll be in great shape. But you have to know how to run a business. And a lot of people that get in, they really don't understand logistics and how to run a trucking business. They know how to drive a truck and they know how to make a payment, but there's no plan ahead at all.
Yeah. But I've always said that the bar of entry in trucking is too low. There is a big difference between being a business owner and a truck driver. All right.
Yeah,
and
you've got a pulse and a 700 credit score, you can get in.
Yeah. And I've always said, which other industry in the world can you literally buy your way in? And look, any other industry that I can think of off the top of my head, you have to market to your customers. We have a list of customers right there that we can call and beg for their freight, as far as these brokers, right? There is but I can think off the top of my head, there is no other industry in the world. You can go and put the cash down. You don't have to have a marketing plan. You don't have to have a business plan. You can just go out and roll. And that's why, we have these issues, because anyone can come in, as long as you got that CDL, you can go pretty much.
Right, but I don't understand, like when you're saying we have these issues, and I don't. Again, maybe I'm just lucky. I haven't had any issues.
Oh no, when I say issues, I'm talking about the business competency in the trucking world. These guys that can't calculate their cost per mile, they don't know what it costs them to run. When I say issues, I talk about them issues.
Yeah. And, hey, God bless those people. I hope they go out of business.
Gary Compton says anyone looking into starting a trucking needs to set up their business to be profitable in the lowest average from the past 5 to 10 years, not the highest average of the last 1 to 2 years. So here's a chart that Jeff sent me. Finally had a chance to look at it and understand it. This is the Cass inferred freight rates from January of 2010 to November of 22. As you can see, this is exactly our peak was at this point.
Right. And now we're right
22.
back down to what, normal? Is it dipping below the line yet?
No, I mean, look, it's in 2010 rates were $1.60, $1.75 a mile.
Right. But what's the normal line? What's the normal trend line where you see it, some goes above, some goes below. That's the normal, right?
That's well, I don't know. Jeff just sent me this without any explanation. So
well, it explains itself, though. You're looking at it, and that's your normal trend line. So what's the normal trend line at? I can't read it. Is that $1 what?
Yeah.
Quarter? The line where
this
it's
is
either
an
above or below. It's like the third block up. What is that, like $1.25? Yeah, $1.25. I zoomed in.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so $1.25 is the normal trend line for the past 12 years. I mean, we're just right back down to it right now, according to that chart.
All right, here's another one. This is the one I wasn't sure. Freight transportation.
With a lot of these charts, I find interesting. Like you just showed that freight waves on a little bit ago.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to look. Last year and the year before was such an anomaly, but that skews the data. Because if you go back before then, yeah, there was growth, but it was pretty consistent growth. Big CEO was saying, but then you get this major jump, and that's just going to throw average. So if you're counting, going back to Gary's comment, was you go back over the last couple of years, that's changed, right? You can't take that data because it is such an anomaly. It's not normal.
No, so here's my argument with that, Stuart. When I look at a chart, I'll put it back up here. This chart here is the big one. I look at patterns. I could care less about the actual numbers. I look at patterns. See the pattern? Those are different multiple years. That's what it always does. Now, there's your anomaly right there. That red line right there, that's your anomaly. Okay? And so this is the pattern. So when people do their business plan to come out here to be an owner-operator, this is what you have to consider. If you if you want to open a restaurant, I know a guy that owned several pizza joints. He didn't profit for 5 years. And finally started to show a profit. So I mean, I didn't show profit for 2 years.
Based off that last chart you had up, where we determined that the trend line for the high-low was $1.25, meaning $1.25 is your average, and anything above it is above average, anything below it is below average. If you're thinking about getting a truck and getting into this, understand you have to be able to be profitable at $1.25. because that's the average. That's the
Yeah.
norm.
Going back to them trends quickly, Steve. There, but them little dips that we see, that's going to be normal every year because it's.
I know, that's what I was saying.
And that I guess is because everything's cyclical, right? You know, we have the same time every year produce is ready. We have the same time every year Christmas rolls around and people splurge on buying food. You know, the winter time freight drops off for flatbed because you know people don't build and stuff like that. So as long as we're seeing them trends and they're somewhat normal, you know, that's I mean that's always going to be somewhat the same, and we're going to see them big drop-offs or big spikes each year because of that's what happens with with the freight because that's when these products are ready. But as far as the what I'm saying is the big insurge in freight volume, that you can just pretty much take it and throw it out the window because it doesn't mean anything. Because
Right.
it was such an anomaly. So when you're evaluating to start a trucking business, that really doesn't mean anything because it was so abnormal, that it's useless data because that is not the norm.
All right, so Will Burner says the owner operators that were profitable before the rate spike are the ones that are profitable today. The guys that jumped in when the rates went through the roof are the ones that are scrambling now, and that's I think that's everybody's point.
Mm.
You know, we're arguing the same
Yeah.
thing here.
Yeah.
I'm not even arguing. I'm just showing these charts,
Yeah.
which apparently has got everybody all flustered. Hold on. This I unmuted your mic there, I think.
My mic. Now
There
the
you go.
host muted my mic. Now I'm
Well,
on.
because you keep echoing, so you're.
Now I'm not muted. It's okay.
This chart here, then this is the chart that I present to everybody when they think about coming in the trucking business. Even in contract freight, you're going to still see these same patterns because eventually the spot gets so cheap that contracts are renegotiated and some freight hits the spot market. I mean, it's just how it is. It's these patterns.
Yeah, you're going to see, I think we are going to see some contracts get renegotiated and some freight come back to the spot market because contract rates are still higher than spot rates currently. And you're going to see some shippers try to move some of their freight looking for a better deal back to the spot market.
Well, that happened. That happened with COVID. They were all pulling the force majeure thing.
All right, so
go ahead.
Oh no, let me read Wilbur's Express. Define profit. People assume that just because all of their company bills are paid, there is a little bit of money in the bank. They are profitable. They better reevaluate quickly. That was a point that was made to me early at Landstar during orientation. Is we went over all of our costs, we went over all of our expenses at home. We had a homework sheet that we had to fill out, and then they asked us the question. So if your net cost per mile was $1.89 a mile and you're averaging $1.89 a mile, are you making money? And everybody raised their hand and said no. Well, no, everything's paid, right? Everything's paid, and it didn't stick with anybody. And then Joseph, I'll answer your question. He says, sell me on why I would want to be an owner operator when, as a company driver, I make consistent good money.
Can I do that? I'm going to sell it.
I'm not trying to sell somebody to be an owner operator.
Are you ready, Joseph? Don't do it. Here's why I say that. I'm not just being an ass, which I'm good at. Here's why I say that. It takes a certain mentality, a certain type of person to want to be a business owner. It takes to have that entrepreneur in your mind, it's just the way your mind clicks. And so for him, I say, absolutely do not. If you don't have, like I didn't become an owner operator because I wanted to own my own truck and be my own. I became an owner operator because I wanted to have my own business. Right?
Me too.
I am certain I could go down to Walmart right now with their $110,000 a year and probably have more money in my pocket consistently, right? However, I don't work well with others. And I know that about myself. And I also know about myself that I don't want to work well with others. I want to have my own business, have my own thing, be my own boss, decide my life on my terms. I was a company driver for a long time. And as a company driver, I remember being told, you have to work Thanksgiving, you have to work Christmas, you have to do this, you have to do that. Oh, you just did 14 days on the road? We don't care. You need to go up back out. We've got this load. We need you to do it. Oh, we need a favor. And I got so tired of that. Because when you work as a company driver, even if it's, say, for Walmart, right? That's like the job, right? 5 days on, 2 days off, killer bennies, great retirement, $110,000 a year. It sounds magical until you're supposed to go to work and you don't go to work, and then they treat you like crap. Trucking companies, and I've never understood this about why it is trucking companies get away with this. Because other companies, some of them, I guess, kind of do whatever. If you work in like a factory like Kraft Foods, they'll hit you with mandatory overtime, right? But the idea that a trucking company will tell you that you have to work 21 days to earn a day off to be able to be allowed to go home, to me, is absolutely insane. And I have just found that there was a point where I was done. I got out of over the road trucking and I went to local work, which I still hated because I had a boss. But I have found that since I've become an owner operator, not only have I made more money, but also I'm just a happier person. I don't mind to go to work because I'm working for myself. And maybe that particular driver is, look, there's two types of people in this world. There's the man and those that work for the man. And worker bees are good. We need worker bees, right? Not everybody can be the queen bee. Not everybody can be the man. What I've learned in life is those that work for the man stay poor, and those that are the man get rich. I've got to take this.
All right. Hey Don, what's up?
I agree with everything you just said.
I mean, that's why I did not do it for the money. In fact, I did not profit my first 2 years.
I left a job where I could have made up to, granted this is top guy, close to $150,000 a year. If I would have busted my butt, I could have made $110,000 a year, what I was doing at that moment. But I left it because of pretty much everything he just said.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not worth it. Like, it's toxic. And that's a local job.
Mm-hmm. There is a flip side to that, though, right? And I think, and I'm going to play a little bit of devil's advocate here, doing both sides of the coin, right? Look, one thing I miss loads is my freedom. I miss the freedom of saying, hey, I feel like I'm going to work today, or no, I'm not going to work today. But in the same sentence, we are still accountable when we're an owner operator to someone, and that's the brokers or our customers. So there is still, just because you work for yourself and you, as was said there, you're the man, there's more responsibility that definitely falls on your shoulders. And yes, there is a financial gain that comes with that responsibility. But I don't think we should maybe paint it as a picture of we get to call all the shots, because that's not necessarily true. Because we are still, have to answer to someone, and that's our customers and whoever we're pulling freight for.
I agree to a certain extent, except the fact that we get to pick who we work with. Like, if I work with a broker who treats me like trash, I ain't going to haul for them again. If I haul for a broker that I like quite a lot, they treat me well, I'm going to keep asking them, hey, you got any more freight?
Once again, that comes in the freedom category, right?
Yeah.
There's that freedom to choose who we work with. But you still have the freedom when you work for a company, right? You don't have to work for Schneider, you could go and work for Walmart, right? You still have freedom in that. You just have to jump through a bit more hoops to make the changes. So yeah, I mean, I just, I think sometimes we paint being an owner operator really, we make it out to be really, really good. And, there is still bits to it, which does suck, and I don't think that does get spoken about enough. Yes, there is definitely perks to it. But there's also, the responsibility side that comes with that, right? If get pulled
it's all
over
perception, Stuart. It's
Yeah.
all perception. Some people watch my live feeds and go, "Man, I would never become an owner operator," because they see all the, they see the how involved you can get, and then other people will see that, "Man, I can't wait to be an owner operator," and they make these ridiculous sacrifices that, at the end of the day, mean nothing. I mean, and then the other thing is the higher your cost, the less freedom you have. You could be with your own authority, and you have 3 brokers that you work with, and they're great brokers, and it's a steady, constant cut shipper and receiver that you have no issues with. But if your truck's, $300,000, you're a slave to that truck. You're a slave. You have no choice but to do those loads. And if things go away, then you're scrambling, and that's not freedom either.
Yeah, no, I agree, and that's, and that's the stuff I think we should talk about more. Is, and how do I put that? I'm trying to think how I would word this, in the sense of, look, yes, there is a lot of perks that become being an owner operator, but setting yourself up correctly, But it's the same conversation you have with, look, I can go and get a job tomorrow, right, making $120,000 a year for a company, but if I go and spend $130,000 a year, right, and blow it on crap, I'm still a slave to my job. The whole topic isn't about being an owner operator, working for a company. It's about, self-control and, the financial management, and that it's not just a trucking issue. It's a issue across the board. There's people that can go and start an air conditioning company tomorrow, or you could go and be an HVAC technician for the man and make just as much money. But if you're spending more than you're making, it's the same concept. And I think it's a bigger issue than, what's better, or, yeah, there's certain freedoms and stuff like that, but there's an underlying issue there that's never spoken about. Whether it be, how you manage your personal finances, how you manage your business finances, and they all co-align at the end of the day. It's the same bad habits. If you have bad money management habits personally and you're living on credit cards, guess what? I'm going to probably bet my paychecks that you're probably going to have the same mentality with your business. And you're going to have a poor business model to where you're now a slave to the truck that you've just gone into debt for, and that's just the way I see it. You see it all too often. I mean, why do we have these queues at freaking truck stops for guys trying to get cash advances? Because they can't control their money, or why do we need factoring? Why do we need quick pay? Why can't we wait the 30 days? It's all relevant. It's all relevant to
Right.
the system, and it's, I don't know. I just feel that the system is set up to keep us poor sometimes, is what I feel like.
And CDN is hitting on something that I'm trying to show with all these charts and different things, right? He says, if you want to dive deeper into logistics info, today's FreightWaves is hosting for free the Domestic Supply Chain Summit. It's about learning from different perspectives. And that's what I'm trying to do. That's why I became friends with Eric, because he was able to tell me things from the broker's perspective. That's why CDN has friended me, because he wants to learn more about the trucking side. I want to learn more about the broker side. And so when you dive into the logistics business, if I want to become a successful truck driver, if I want to be a successful owner operator, I want to understand every facet of this business that I could possibly understand from my point of view. And so if I do that even deeper with the brokerage, then, and understand how the systems work, because I'm a firm believer that the best loads don't hit the DAT board. The best loads, they're still spot market, they're still brokered freight, but they never hit the load boards. I know that, to be true because I live that.
Mhm.
And by understanding the entire industry more, it allows me to be a better driver. It allows me to be a better dispatch service. It allows me to have better relationships with the people that do have their shit together. And that's important. And so with the entry level so low, you've got people that show up at customers in their pajama pants and have a fit if they don't have a door in 20 minutes. And then you got places that, then you got drivers that wear the full, 3-piece suits. I've seen that. It's all perspective, right? And so the goal of my channel is to do what CDN just said. Have a different perspective. Okay, so whether the charts are valuable to you or not, it doesn't matter. That's your perception. And yes, there are anomalies. There are things that have gotten out of whack because of what happened 2 years ago. But when you look at the patterns for the last several years, you can see it's the same patterns. It's the same drop at the same times a year for each platform. And too many people just, here's how I got into the business. I had an 800 credit score. I went to Aero Trucks. Oh, I'm gonna pay 60 grand for this truck. Barely inspected it. Put $2,000 down. Landstar took me on because I have an extremely good record. Boom. Now I was an owner operator. But I did not understand the business. I did not understand the Landstar system. I did not understand being an owner operator. I didn't understand any of that. So I just winged it for a while because I kept my costs low. That's the only reason why I survived. But the willingness to learn as people tried to teach me, hey, Steve, I see that you're struggling. Try this. Hey, Steve, you ought to look at this. Hey, Steve, you need to go beyond your normal boundaries. Hey, Steve, maybe you shouldn't go home as much, because I was all about the freedom, right? But then freedom comes at a cost. So if I'm working a weekend, now my perception changes. If I'm working a weekend for somebody else, that doesn't sit well with me. But if I'm working a weekend for myself, then that's even better. And now I'm in a position where I can work a weekend for myself as it's serving others that need the help. I'm good with that too. And so it's all about perception. It's all about perspective. I'm not just like picking the highest number on the low board and being all willy-nilly and then bitch that the rates have gone down. That's not me at all. And the people that are successful here at Like Trucking, they're doing the same thing. The ones that aren't making it, they weren't able to do this, or they weren't able to do that, or their costs were too high, or they went off and got their own authority. But the ones that are doing well now, I had a meeting with the driver just on Sunday, and he's like, yeah, man, I'm looking at things. Things don't look promising, but he's on his way to Denver to pick up a really high paying multi-stop load because we worked hard for those relationships. So that's the freedom that I like. That, hey, when things are bad, I can bob and weave and I can do this and that. Whereas if I'm a company driver, if I'm on a dedicated account and suddenly they lose that account, then what?
You're screwed, right? I mean,
right.
Ultimately, you're screwed.
So that's the whole point of my channel is I'm not sitting here telling you how horrible things are, but I'm also not telling you that everything's rosy and peachy and that you ought to just relax, right? I'm not that guy either. I show these charts, I show these the low board tools because they help me do my job as well as they can help you do your job. And when I have somebody call me and say, hey, you need to stop showing where the good areas are, I'm like, my little tiny channel does not affect the market, number one. And number two, anybody that pays attention to the information, they're going to see it. Even Schneider, someone brought it up earlier, even Schneider has a hot market map for their own freight. And if you're at a company that doesn't give you a hot market map, so that where you're able to choose where you go, like Schneider, then you have to be aware of that. You have to be aware of their freight. Like the majority of Schneider freight is in the Midwest. The majority of JB Hunt freight is in the Midwest. The majority of, unless you find an East Coast carrier or a West Coast carrier, they have their contracts. They have their niche. And so you have to be more valuable than the person next to you. And the good news is that the bar is so low for entry to come in, that's your competition. So if you pay attention to the charts, if you pay attention to the information, if you pay attention to the trends, if you talk to the people that know what's coming up, February is usually bad. July is usually pretty good. If you pay attention to those people and you're willing to learn, you're going to make it as long as your costs are in control. But credit cards are through the roof right now. You know why? Because people don't have control of their finances. That's a big part of it. I know people that call me and says, Steve, I want to be a lease operator. I want to be an owner operator. What do you think? I'll ask them what their credit score is. Well, it's a 600. Okay. What's going on? Well, I have this and this. Okay. Do you have any control over your expenses? Do you put out a budget? Because I didn't, and it almost took me out. It's just like winning the lottery. How many people win the lottery and then are broke 2 or 3 or 4 years later? Because money doesn't solve the money management problem. You could be on a shoestring budget. As long as you budget everything, you're going to make it. But you can be grossing $400,000 in 2 years or 1 year and still go out of business if you don't manage your finances. And every single person that I know that has gone out of business, not by their own choice, is because they didn't have a handle on their expenses or the foundation at home wasn't strong. And you have to have both. And how many people do you know have their act together to that level?
Can I also add on top of that, when you come into a lot of money, okay, in the sense of you become an owner operator and now you're seeing maybe $400,000 come across your desk, not only when you go bankrupt, but you can also end up with a massive tax burden and actually be in the hole a lot more than what you would be with, say, as a company driver position, right? Because of your poor money management skills. It's not just, you go out of business. You could end up owing the IRS a shit ton of money. And that there's a lot of cases out there where you hear, drivers out here or owner operators didn't have the money for their tax bill, or they're scrambling for it. So, just bear that in mind as well. That's something else to think about, right?
Nothing Woody says it all, and then I'm going to end this feed. So thank you guys for coming in, Stuart, Don. I got to get to work, speaking of work. But she says, freedom and responsibility are always linked in every facet of life. We run into trouble when we start wanting the one without the other. And Nothing Witty says, that's perfect advice. More money won't solve a money management problem. That's excellent. So anyways, guys, Don, do you have anything you want to say before we cut this off?
No, I'll go back to I forget what the guy's name was that was on before, but
Big Rig CEO.
Big Rig CEO. He was spot on. That comment he made right before he left.
Yeah, he's a guy he's the one that convinced me to be an owner operator with that sentence. You either are the man or you work for the man. And when I had heard that the Landstar system, like I always thought owner operators were were basically forced dispatch and you didn't choose where you go. And so I thought, well, why would I make a truck payment and still not have any freedom? That's insane. Right. So when he started telling me about the Landstar and I started doing some digging on that, I'm like, wow, okay, that's the only place I will own a truck, short of getting your own authority, which I definitely didn't have any of that in my wheelhouse. Right. So now I learned a lot of things the hard way. In fact, I learned almost everything the hard way when I was at Landstar, and I could have easily gone out of business several times. And for the first 2-3 years, man, I did not profit. In fact, I actually got money back on my taxes. But I had a unique situation. My house didn't need that much. And so I was able to get the second truck. I went to Schneider, which was more consistent. And Jeffrey Like took me under his wing and said, hey, how about you do your numbers? How about you do this? How about you try this? How about you work this way? And that worked for me. And then eventually I took those lessons and put them into the spot market, which is a lot harder to do because you have the peaks and valleys. You don't have a steady stream like you see with contract freight. And, all these arguments, which one's better than the other, those are invalid to me because you have to do what works for you. What works for me doesn't work for Don. What works for Don may not work for Stuart. If you're driving a Peterbilt 389, that's $220,000, your needs are going to be different than the guy that's got the $60,000 Freightliner that runs regional. So I look at patterns, I look at charts, I look at what I'm experiencing. When I call on loads for 5 different drivers, I see the same patterns. I was talking to DIY yesterday. He called me up. He goes, "Are you struggling in this and this areas?" I'm like, "Yeah, actually I am." He's like, "Yeah, that's what I'm seeing too." And you bounce ideas. And I call my flatbed friend that's up in the northern tundra, and he tells me what he's dealing with. Then I call my friends that are down in Florida, and they tell me what they're dealing with. And then I have a buddy that runs out in Phoenix. I talk to him. What are you dealing with? Big Rig CO. We go back and forth, and that is value information. I put it all together as a bigger picture, but at the end of the day, I'm still making a phone call, still working with the brokers that I want to work with, and I'm helping people profit as much as possible so I can profit as well. And that's just how I run. This YouTube thing, that's an outlet for me where I can show people, maybe help them utilize the tools that are at your disposal so you can make great decisions, but the basics are lost. Keep control of your cost, be in a situation where you have control, and then just be able to survive the storms, and that's it. That's as simple as that. There's no complex formula. There's no magic sweet spot. If you're an a-hole to people and you don't know what customer service is, you will struggle. If you don't recognize problems that need to be solved, you will struggle. People have a problem talking to brokers, come talk to me. That's one way to solve it. I'll talk to the brokers for you. So I found the solution for people that, hey, they want to make money in the spot market, but they don't want to deal with brokers. Well, I'm your guy. I can help you out. I see a need and I fulfill it, and that's how you make money. If someone needs a 22 pallets of water moved, and you could solve that problem, boom, now you're making money. How much money you take home depends on what your expenses are. It's as simple as that. I mean, that's the thing. And so for the people that are intimidated by all this overwhelming information of working the spot market, just know that that's how it is running a truck. I don't care if you're a lease operator at Prime. There's complexities that you have to deal with. There's a mindset that you have to be successful in no matter what the platform is. Whether it's a lease operator, owner operator, leasing, straight leasing, renting a truck, there's, your own authority signed on to somebody, running a brokerage, running a dispatch. It's all relative to the same concepts that's been successful for every business that's successful right now. And that's it. So with that being said, guys, thanks for coming in. I'm going to boot you out. Thanks for coming in, Don. I'll have a chat with you. I'll have a chat with you later. Stuart, thanks for coming in. You always add to the deal. So with that being said, strength for today, hope for tomorrow, and just keep on keeping on, man. We can do it, right? We can do it. Peace.